Hello, my name is Corey Latte and I'm an aspiring entrepreneur, and today I'm going to talk about my experience with personal training. I'm going to talk about why I love it so much. I'm going to talk about how I got started with it, how I've grown, the different types of experience I've been able to have, and the opportunities I've been granted, and maybe also some of the people I've met. So, yeah. So, I started in August of 2019. I want to say August 12th or August 13th is when I got my certification. And what I pretty much did, I got my certification through the National Academy of Sports Medicine, or NASM, and I studied for this test for about 6 weeks. No, you're supposed to study for like months for this test so you can retain that information, because this book is thick and it's not good to do the test just in 6 weeks. However, I had finished an internship over the summer that ended with about 2 months left before I had to start my senior year of college. And I wanted to get my certification before I started my senior year, so I would be able to start being a trainer later in that semester, which I was able to do, but I did not retain a lot of the information, and I feel that affects my confidence and stuff. And I do feel like the best experience you get is on the job. Like, personal training is a very kinesthetic, I think I said that right, kinesthetic learning experience, but I wish I would have took more time to be focusing on the anatomy and stuff, because once school started, I'm a psychology major, so I focused on trying to get these grades, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, I got my certification end of August, and then I emailed my current personal trainer supervisor, Kevin, and I was like, I'm trying to get a job. I'm trying to get paid. I'm trying to get up there. I want to help people. He was like, yeah, you're good. Just come here, all that good stuff. And in September, I got the interview, and I heard that I got the job like a week later. I was so happy. And the interview process was pretty much an audition, is what they called it, and you spend like 20 minutes just talking about your personal training philosophy and why you want to be a trainer and stuff. And then you I took my boss through an actual workout that I designed for this pre-existing client, or him. He actually had me create a workout for him according to his personal goals. So that was cool. I was mad nervous. I was that personal trainer that was trying to impress the boss, saying all this random jargon about latissimus dorsi and how you need to engage that before you do the pull-up, and just all this stuff that, clients, that you wouldn't really tell a client. But I was trying to show my boss that I knew some information, all that good stuff. And they would ask some questions during the interview or during the audition to try and see why you would choose to do a certain thing, or why you would say a certain cue, stuff like that. So yeah, I feel I was able to, I knew that stuff, not really from the book reading, but from other YouTube videos I watched. I spent majority of my college years, so this would have been about 3 years leading up, or 2 years? About 3 years, yeah, leading up to senior year, just watching YouTube videos. And I picked up on that cueing from that. They talk about it in the book, but again, it's a very experience-driven thing. And yeah, I learned that kind of stuff from others, that on-the-spot stuff. It wasn't as much from the book. So yeah, I did my audition. I started in September or October, I think officially, is when I had my first job. Was actually tabling. I got my first, what's it called? My uniform, which I was really excited about. And yeah, that was all cool. Then, fast forward, I started my mentorship process a little later in October with Dan. Shout out to Dan. He is my mentor. He was like the program assistant, I think, for the personal training program at the gym. And yeah, I pretty much had to run his clients through a couple different exercises, and we would do little talks about where my head was at. And I feel like he played a good part in bringing up my confidence with that stuff. And then on October 25th, which is my birthday, 10/25, I trained my first client for the first time. And how I got this client, I would request clients that, so when you're on onboarding, so this is when my mentor was teaching me different things. When you're on onboarding, you can't actually get clients because you're not like, you haven't completed your process yet. But there was this one client that they were offering to people who were still onboarding, and that joint was at 6 a.m. I think it was 6:15 a.m. at the time. And yes, there's a difference between 6 a.m. and 6:15 a.m. It's like an hour of sleep for you to get up 15 minutes earlier. And I got up and I went, I was like, I'm gonna get this client. 6:15 a.m. I got this. I like getting up early already, and it's gonna be great. And yeah, 10:25 was the first day I actually trained him, and it was great. It was a cool workout. I was very, very nervous because nobody was watching me, and I thought I was gonna mess this man's body up. But yeah, my first client, he seemed to enjoy the workout, and we started to build rapport over time. I'm gonna talk about the things that I messed up with him a little later. I'm gonna fast forward a little bit. So he was the only client I had for the rest of that semester, so from October to December. And yeah, it ended up being like 6 to 6:30 a.m. Mondays and Fridays, I think. And that kicked my butt. It was so early in the morning. I was getting up at 5 a.m. just so I could get to the gym. The gym was a 20-minute walk, and you know what? I dreaded it, but I loved it, because when I would get there and he would be doing great with his workout plan and he would be feeling a difference, then I would feel great. So, you know, it also allowed me to get my workout in early in the morning because I was already at the gym. I would get my food when I came back, and then I would go to my other job. So that was like a cool experience. Fast forward to, we'll say, January, I started being a group fitness coach for this group fitness class called, what is it called? Functional circuit training, which is pretty much like, we have this like training studio, and there are like a lot of different activities you can do in there, and we would have like different stations, and the people would work out at different stations for like a certain amount of time, take a rest, and then go to the next station. And that was the general idea of this process. And I had 2 different co-instructors, but one of them, I don't think we ever got participants because it was over the winter break. And then the other one, we worked a lot together, but it was only like 2 actual sessions that I actually got to practice with in January. But I continued to be a group fitness coach for the rest of like the semester until Corona happened. So yeah, fast forward a little bit. I also got my second client, I think in January, or we started in February, and I also got my third client shortly after that. And I also I still had my first client, my 6 a.m. client, and yeah, so I had like a little schedule going on where I was, you know, having clients and stuff, and it was a really good experience. I was getting in the groove of things. I was also teaching 2 classes a week, and one of them I was teaching by myself, and one of them I had a co. So to get into my mistakes first, and then we'll talk about my strengths. So with my first client, I did not take him through any assessments. Now, with him, he already had a trainer, but they had to switch off because the old trainer didn't want to get up that early in the morning, which is why they gave it to the students that were still onboarding. They like gave an option for that. So I took this client, and in my head, I was like, he's been going to this gym for 10 some years. He used to be the client of my supervisor, Kevin, the one that I did the audition with. So I'm like, it was the mindset of he knows more than me. He knows more about his body than me and stuff like that, which he does, but I should have taken him through assessments to see where he was at, because anytime you get a new trainer, your trainer should take you through that process so they can get to know you. I also didn't do any type of consultation with him, and that was kind of because he could only come at 6 a.m. because he had to work in DC, and his commute was already an hour, so we didn't get a consultation, but I could have done that consultation online or something to build more of a rapport. So I think that's another mistake. I didn't do any assessments. He had a high flare of his, he had a lot of external rotation at his feet, which is something like I knew, but I did not like test for it or did an assessment for or anything. I didn't test his balance, which later showed when he was doing some split squats. Like, I did not realize he did not have balance because I was like, he can squat almost down to 300 pounds. So I don't know, I was just very naive with that, and I just figured that he knew like a lot already. He would just tell me, which I shouldn't have done. I should have been checking for that stuff. So yes, always do assessments, flush that stuff out in the beginning so you won't run into as many rocks in the road later on. I let him kind of guide some of the session, a lot of the session, especially in the beginning. I gained more control later, and I was like, no, we're gonna do this because this is what you said your goals were. But his goals would kind of like switch up a lot. So yeah, there was that. With my other clients, I would say my mistakes, their goals, all of these clients were older men. So I think one was 25, one was 30, and one was 35. And they're all stronger than me. I feel like I had a lot of insecurities with that in the beginning. But then I realized, like, I feel like I had a lot of insecurities about that in the beginning because they were all stronger than me. They could lift more than me. And in my head, I was like, maybe they know more than me. Like, what can I really tell them? But no, that's not the case at all. They get a personal trainer for a lot of different reasons, you know, besides trying to get stronger. And I know how I've made myself stronger physically and mentally. So I was able to implement that in them. So I guess one of my weaknesses was not believing in myself. You have to realize that the influence that you can hold with your clients. So yeah, I took them through assessments. I don't think they were the best assessments for them, but it was my first time really trying out the stuff like 3-step test, playing around with heart rate and trying to test like recovery heart rate. I feel like I wish I did it better, but I did start doing it. We also have this thing called the BOD pod, which tests body fat percentage through volume, caloric expenditure, and all that good stuff. And I did those pretty well. It was my first time really using those machines, and I think I did that well, so I'm gonna give me some props for that. I just wish that I did better assessments overall. So that's something I'm learning in. And just knowing the importance of assessments, why you're doing them, and how it's going to reflect when you want to assess them like later to see the progress. Like, that's very important. Another big mistake I did. So with client number 2, his goal was really just to lose weight. He wanted to do it within a time that wasn't really reasonable, but I wasn't really open about that as much as I should have been. And also another thing with assessments, so he had very low stamina, and I didn't really realize that until we got into certain sessions that he was like, he couldn't do it anymore. And when I would ask him during the session if he was doing well, he would say he was doing well. However, out of nowhere, he would kind of like need to stop. And I noticed it like the very first time, but he would just say, oh, it's because I haven't worked out in a while or something. And I should have just, it was my responsibility to be paying more attention to that. And I feel that affected his likelihood to want to come to the sessions in the first place, which I felt very, very guilty for. I feel like I take full responsibility for that. I wish I would have seen it better, and I could have done that by doing more effective assessments, I feel. And also really just starting out with less intense workouts, I guess. It was like he could handle them sometimes, but sometimes he couldn't. And you should always like just be safe with that. You should want to push your client, but make sure they have that foundation first. And also, I know certain things I would just let slide. Like one time he didn't want to come because it was raining, and the rain is not an excuse to like not do something. Like, and if it is, the thing must not be like that important. And it wasn't like raining that bad either. So yeah, things I feel guilty for was not, holding myself accountable for the things that he was like saying and doing. So yeah, my other client, client number 3, we had a really good rapport and really good relationship. I think our styles really just matched a lot. The way in which I trained him, he wanted to lose weight too, and he did a lot of circuit stuff. We would talk a little bit before and after about like where each other was at, and we were both very receptive to that. I do like to talk, so he was very compatible in that sense with me, and it was just easier overall to talk to him. He asked for homework, which was pretty cool. I was like, okay, I could think of something, but I ended up having him learn how to create his own programs or his own workouts, like circuits and stuff, so he would be able to have that skill after he left with me. So yeah, those are my general experience with my clients. I'm gonna talk a little bit why I love being a personal trainer now. I love watching people accomplish their goals, seeing them do something that they could not alone like see themselves doing before like they even met you and stuff like that. So watching people progress throughout their goals is very, very, very like I'm gonna say satisfying to me, because the aspect of allowing someone to reach like their full potential and stuff, and the idea that I'm guiding them in some sort of way, I don't even really see it as me doing it. I see it as them doing it, but me just saying that you can do it. So it's like a very proud moment when someone is able to accomplish something, especially if you've given them a task and they didn't think that they could do the task originally. So yeah, that's why I love being a trainer. I feel like my greatest strength has been just in general gaining confidence. I really just did not believe in my own abilities in the beginning. I thought everybody else knew stuff better than me, and I've learned how to put my ideas at the forefront, and it has paid off for my clients and other people that I've been able to talk to and stuff like that. And I'm gonna say one more strength is if I don't know something, I will admit that I don't know it, and then I will go and figure out how to do it. So with the way I like make programs and stuff, so this is my little clipboard, my little friend. So yeah, I'm very much so into branding. We have my training log, and then I have my little logo there. Put like the name and date, and then the different exercises. So through trial and error, I've been able to find an effective sheet of paper where I can be able to track that, and where it can be enjoyable for me as well as the client. And I'll say like my strength with that is figuring out what works for the person and what works for me. And I'll do a lot of research on that. Research typically entails like either YouTube videos or different articles where I'm going to try and find different possible answers to the solution. And I'm not only going to say, okay, this is the only possible solution. There are a variety of different ways that you can, get to there. Yes, that is my experience so far as a personal trainer. So I guess right now moving forward, and I'm about to graduate. My classes for senior year actually just ended on Monday, and I have one more exam on Friday. And I wanted to be a full-time personal trainer, or work towards being a full-time personal trainer and building clientele after I graduated. However, I cannot work in a gym right now because of Corona, and a lot of gyms are closed. So I'm working on networking right now, so I can learn as much as I can, gain some type of experience online as well, and move forward from there. I feel there's a lot unknown right now, but I'm steadily going to be building my business, building my brand, and trying to become, or I am working to become, an effective fitness professional. Hope you enjoyed. If you are working to become a fitness professional, I would say be confident in yourself and find your style and do what you feel is most effective, because there are going to be a lot of different people with a lot of different niches, and you can't just do what everybody else does. You have to find your own style and learn from the people that you can, and really just hop into it and get experience. So hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was beneficial and helpful. I hope you're doing well, hope you're taking care of yourself, and I hope you have a great day.